As one of the newer stars in the horror genre, Melissa Barrera's new film Your Monster seemed like it should have been a slam dunk. It tells the story of a young actress who finds and falls in love with a monster in her closet, akin to a modern-day Beauty and the Beast remake. In previews, Your Monster was very well reviewed, with a lot of praise directed towards the split horror anti-romance genre on display. However, while the film is being scored very well, that positive reception doesn't seem to be translating to the box office. While 2024 has seen a slew of underperforming horror movies, there have been a couple of very recent bright spots, like Smile 2 hitting major box office milestones, continuing the success of the first film, and the unrated Terrifier 3 smashing box office records and solidifying the franchise as a horror staple. Your Monster, unfortunately, hasn't been able to repeat those successes and seems to be quickly becoming another box office flop. Unfortunately for Barrera and her credentials within the genre, this represents a repeat of her previous horror film release. Your Monster is already on track to have a poor box office performance despite good reviews. Its initial box office numbers are quite poor. The monster and Laura stare longingly into each other's eyes in Your Monster. Your Monster has a very good Rotten Tomatoes score, having been reviewed very well. However, when the film was released in theaters in the US on October 25, it only made around $522,958 during the film's first weekend. While the actual budget of the film is unknown, and more than likely quite small when compared to the larger, more mainstream Hollywood films, making less than $1 million over the course of an opening weekend is not a great look for the movie. Your Monster is distributed by Vertical Entertainment, a production and distribution company that specializes in low-budget indie films, and as such their projects tend not to make huge sums of money at the box office. That being said, plenty of their films have made millions of dollars, most of which are bolstered by big-name actors, and given that Your Monster features the very up-and-coming Melissa Barrera, it is likely that the film has been a disappointment for the team behind it. Your Monster gives Melissa Barrera two disappointing horror movies at the box office in 2024. The Scream 6 star hasn't been able to find much success in 2024. Melissa Barrera starred in two movies that were released in 2024, Your Monster in October, Abigail back in April, and unfortunately, it seems that both films will ultimately be box office disappointments. The latter had a reported budget of $28 million, and made only around $42 million during its theatrical run, although Abigail did see a resurgence once it hit streaming. Both films have definitely underperformed, but Abigail had a significantly larger budget, and being distributed by Universal, a much bigger studio, its disappointment likely stung quite a bit more. As these two films are the only movies by Melissa Barrera since her abrupt firing from Scream 7, their lack of success doesn't bode very well for her future prospects. While her performance in Scream 6 was universally adored, and her firing was met with disdain by audiences and her fellow castmates, that hasn't translated to broad enough interest in her solo projects. The film is an unfortunate box office flop, but, given her talent, it's doubtful that Your Monster is the last we will see of Melissa Barrera in the horror scene.